They just want you to sit in your chair and go hip hip hooray for the Western press and the Western narrative. Regurgitating the same old, same old, same old every single day without question. Please watch the first series, the first 2 episodes, the second series. Look at that.
Absolutely fascinating.
And it was the first time the Beatles had really stopped being semi-professional almost.
Good evening, everyone. It's the history of literature tonight. It's like this fella here. From him goes right up to modern day wonderful literature people, visionaries, great people who made social comments, people who, the visionaries, looked into the future, even artists. So we'll be talking about them as well. And you to help as well, see what you think. I remember Azette when she mentioned Renoir, Degas, wonderful artists. And we have the usual Blake and what he was saying in 1794 about how society worked. It just goes back to when I was doing my PhD, when I was speaking about, my paper was on Shakespeare and the social and economic issues in a 20-year span. What was going on at the time. Left a few hundred years to Dickens, the same again. From 1840 to 60, another 20 years span. The social and economic issues. And nothing had changed. Basically nothing had changed. Again, about social comments. Dickens had social comments. Shakespeare had social comments in his plays that people tend to, I'm not saying ignore, but it just goes over the heads. Just goes over the heads. So that's it. Let's see who's here with me. And Anthony. That's it. Bonsoir, I love the French literature. My favourites are The Count of Monte Cristo. Great. Yeah. And Alexander Dumas, I like him. The Three Musketeers and Les Miserables, written by Victor Hugo. Les Miserables explores timeless and relevant issues which resonate absolutely. Les Miserables. Great. Even the Count of Monte Cristo, when you think about it. Steve Mulholland, my mate. Hi, Frank and Anthony. Thank you for last night's story about the Cameo murders. I watched the broadcast later on last night. Do you know what? I hurried it really because I'll never give you, really, I didn't give the build up. I'm being honest, I didn't give the build up to the story, the Cameo. I didn't mention about John Cattrall, one of the victims. He was the uncle of Kim Cattrall. You know, the Hollywood actors, Sex and the City, fame. The first thing I ever seen her in was Star Trek. One of the films with James T.K., James Tiberius Kirk. That was the first thing I ever seen in it. Just imagine if he would have still been alive and manager of a cinema and she was on in Star Trek. How ironic. He worked in a cinema, John Cattrall, showing Hollywood films, British films, any other films. And he was murdered for a night's taking. So I apologise for last night's one. You'll get a different one, a better one next week. But I was in pain, actually. I was in terrible pain. Which I tried to keep quiet. I was nearly passing out, to be honest. Anyway, Adette says, I love the words by historian of philosopher Voltaire. Oh, they strike a chord with the world today. Anyone who has the power to make you believe absurd, I love that quote. Has the power to make you commit injustices. Absolutely. Voltaire. Great quote, one of the best quotes ever, that is, by the way. Well said, Adette. Well said, well thought out. And the lovely Ambi, hiya Helen. A very good evening to everyone. Good evening to you, sweetheart. And Steve Mulholland, good evening to you, ambidextrous. And Johan. No football tonight, please. I'm doing a watch along tomorrow. Is it tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow. So, Johan, good evening, Frank and Legends. Hope everyone is well. Smash the likes on the way in. Thank you, Johan. Smash the likes. Thanks, Stephen Mulholland. Good to see you, says the Ambi. Lovely Bella. Buonasera, Franco. And everyone, hope you're all well. Yes, buonasera to you as well, Bella. Toscana's not here tonight, she said. I think she's on her way from Yorkshire to visit me. So she can get here tomorrow. Now she is. She's coming down tomorrow, actually. And actually says, rumour has it Francis Bacon wrote the plays that Billy Shakespeare sold ice cream outside the Globe. True or not, I don't know. No, it's not to do with Shakespeare. They try to say that. Americans try to say that. These Americans who haven't a clue. One of them, I always remember a critic of Shakespeare, American, and he said, how could he write about Othello? And the Merchant of Venice. That's what he said. Even Hamlet, when he'd never been outside the country. Little did he know that he knew merchants who were his friends who'd been everywhere, where the ships could take them to far off lands. And there was lots of trade with China at the time, and they went through to Italy. They went through there. Like Marco Polo, put it that way. So anyway, he knew all about Italy, obviously. And so you just dismiss these people who say that. So Francis Bacon, so Francis Bacon was actually an MP for Liverpool. Don't know whether anyone knows that. He was MP for Liverpool, yet he never visited Liverpool. Never ever came here. Because he was banned from the court of Elizabeth. He was banned. Ostracised, in other words. And he became MP for Liverpool, never ever visited Liverpool. That was around 1584. And not many people know that. But you do know. And Archie, love to you, Frank. Thank you, Archie. And love back to you. Lots of it. And I'm going to bring my wonderful friend in to keep him stop moaning, you see. This great man, patient man, funny man as well. You wouldn't think he has a sense of humour, would you? But anyway, this is a man who just never swears, never uses expletives. Now, don't forget, I said to him one day, I said, Einstein said, to make a point, use an expletive. George Bernard Shaw said it as well. And I said to him, the origins, I don't think Archie knows this. I don't think whether Bella does as well, or Odette, where the original swear word came from, the origins of the original swear word. F-U-C-K. And it was a fellow, this lord or earl or whoever he was looking for his wife. And she went missing. I'm talking about a massive stately home. That's Charles II. Charles II used to visit, a friend of his. And he seen this. Good grief. Sorry about this, people. He's seen this, a gentleman in waiting. He has a lady in waiting. He has one of these valets or whatever you call them. And he said, have you seen ladies? And he looked at him. And he must have been thinking, shall I tell him? He said, can you tell me? And he said, I'm sorry, but the ladyship is fornicating under Charles the King. Hence F-U-C-K. How about that then? Fornicating under Charles the King. Put it politely. Don't know what happened to the lady, like, but she says. Shakespeare was a redhead, yes. Do you think I'd be all right with his little face? Hello. George Bernard Shaw was a Fabian. There are some people who want to be just like, oh, never mind. And Bella. Franco, I've been reading Geoffrey Chaucer's The Canterbury Tales recently. I had to do that when I was at college doing A-level. I couldn't understand it. We had to do it from the original print. Very hard. And actually, Edward VII had lots of ladies in waiting. Oh my goodness. Rather in me. I'm going to bring my great friend in here, Mr. Anthony Brown. Hey, Lanny.
Good evening, Frank. Good evening, one and all. I'm just enjoying the education. So, yeah. Now,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry there. You know, the way they just come in there, what we were talking about last night when we had a chat, you and I mean, when we were speaking to each other after the stream last night, and how up to date the chatters are with us. Now you've just seen Odette saying about, you know, like the Count of Monte Cristo.
Yeah.
You see, and even Bella was saying that she's just been reading Chaucer's Canterbury Tales recently.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And actually saying George Bernard Shaw was a Fabian. It's incredible because, you know, these are literature people. These are literature people, which I'm absolutely delighted with, because where you have Odette saying that, you know, about Voltaire.
Yeah.
And who have we quoted during our time? Voltaire. Haven't we? We've quoted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Odette
And, you know, when I'm sorry, and when she says, you know, she loves French literature, the Count of Monte Cristo, the Three Musketeers, Les Miserables, Victor Hugo's there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Alexander Dumas, you know, he was an incredible writer as well. And Johan, good evening, international artist Mr. Brown. Loads of scotches, couple of extra enduring the case origin again.
Thank you, Johan. We're going to stock them up and we'll have them later or just before match time tomorrow.
Oh.
Definitely need them then.
Well, anyway, do you know what? You know the way some people look at. Can I read a poem?
Yes, please.
And remember when we were talking about the wonderful Wilfred Owen and his, he never seen his poems published.
No.
We never seen them published. And also, other great poets as well. It was banned. But this wasn't banned. But it wasn't published until after the war because it was written after the First World War. And it's not Owen. It's not Siegfried Sassoon. But it's this one. I have to read it. If I get it. Please bear with. Oh, yeah, there it is. There it is. And what it is, it's a poem. I used to know it's off by heart, I used to recite it. And it's a very poignant poem. It's a poignant poem on two levels. One is that the title says it all. Written by a man, a male, to his love. When I first seen this poem, I'm going back years ago, I thought right away it was a poem to a lover, a male lover. Now you're going back to the First World War, Anthony. And if these people who hid their sexuality, they were afraid to mention their sexuality, what would happen to them?
Wow. Imprisonment at least, sometimes far worse.
Far worse, yeah. And don't forget as well, when they went to prison, they got beaten up.
Yeah.
They were beaten up.
Yeah.
So, and worse still, well, you've only got to look at one of the greatest of all writers and what happened to him
You're
when he
talking
was
about
exiled. Who was it?
Oscar Wilde.
There you go. Oscar Wilde.
It destroyed him.
It
destroyed him.
destroyed him. Died penniless.
Yeah.
One of the greatest minds.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, like Shakespeare and like the others, a wit, a sharpness
Yeah.
on the net every time.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
all
go
of
on.
us lying in the gutter, but some of us are looking at the stars.
Oh, greater. Greater. Absolutely great. Oh, I'm sorry about this. It's so sad. It's so sad that we as people who love literature, Is it because of the modern day? No, because, we were young men
Yeah.
when homosexuality was outlawed, still outlawed. And that's why here, especially in this country, you had these wonderful people who entertained us on film, on the stage.
Yeah.
You couldn't say anything. You had one fellow, Alan Turing, who was one of the greatest minds
Yeah.
when he unlocked codes of the Germans in the
Yeah.
Second World War. And he was vilified, he was lambasted, and he ended up taking his own life.
Yeah.
And this is the way it was. Now I'll read this poem. Now you could imagine when these lads enlisted in the First World War to get rid of, you know, these people, and they couldn't say anything, but they enlisted together. And it's called True as Love. He's gone, and all our plans are useless indeed. We'll walk no more on Codswold, where the sheep feed quietly and take no heed. His body that was so quick is not how you knew it on Severn River under the blue, driving our small boat through. You would not know him now, but still he died nobly. So cover him over with violets of pride, purple from the seventh side. Cover him soon, and with thick set masses of memoried flowers, hide that red wet thing I must somehow forget. So he was killed beside him.
Yeah. The front line, maybe.
Going over the top. And you could imagine the trauma that man went through. And as I said, the title, True as Love.
Yeah.
You'd have a poster, all this stress after the war, PSD. And he must have gone through it after the war.
Yeah.
Never forgetting his love.
Yeah. And not being able to say.
And not being able to say anything. So you see how these poets couldn't really say anything. Even prose writers couldn't say anything either. As I said, people who entertained the masses because it was the only form of entertainment. The stage has always been there, right through from Marlowe and Shakespeare and all the contemporaries of those, Cyril Turnier, right through. I know it goes back to ancient Greece and ancient Rome. I know it goes back to them. But with the likes of Shakespeare, and it goes right through, they've been entertaining us.
Yeah.
And yet they couldn't say anything. unless they ended up in jail, no matter who they were. And that's the sad thing about society, isn't it?
It is. We make we make rules to harness nature.
Yeah, yeah,
You can't.
absolutely. That says, I say To Kill a Mockingbird is going to be playing at a Liverpool Empire in May. I haven't seen it since I left my studies. Every time I think To Kill a Mockingbird, I just think of Gregory Peck
Yeah,
and the
me too.
film. That's who I think of.
Yeah, me too. It's wonderful at the moment. It's certainly Liverpool, both sides of the river, that we're getting some outstanding plays, literature, because we had the Signalman a couple of weeks ago over here in New Brighton, their theatre, and I read today about a Arthur Conan Doyle, a Sherlock Holmes one, but I'm not sure where that is going to be. And then, yeah, the
I've still
classic.
got, do you know what? I've got that book for you.
Yeah,
You know, the short stories.
yeah,
It's, you better put it. But it's here for you. With the
yeah,
signal man in, with the Mr. Loveday's little house.
that's brilliant, brilliant.
And another one, I have a gothic one for that lovely wife of yours, Lainey.
Yeah,
Short stories. So I have that for you.
beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, don't thank me. It's a pleasure just to say, here you go. And Bella says, William Shakespeare, so long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. Love these words. Love these words, she says.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's the genius, and of anyone who's able to manipulate words that we speak freely in such a way that it becomes emotive, it impacts on us.
Yeah,
Shakespeare is absolutely brilliant, but some of the lyricists over the years as well, some through music, through song, through poetry certainly, and it's almost like, and the same when you read a poem, it's that expression. You could hear a pin drop because you're hanging on those words. Like you and I can talk for a few hours about all sorts of different stuff, but it's not structured in a way where we're trying to reach anyone else with it. Would
yeah, it's just a normal conversation.
yeah. But then we
Whereas
get someone.
we're not structuring. I'm sorry, there. I'll just we're not structuring for our chatters simply because they know we don't need to structure.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Now there's Archie, and Archie says Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein. I do wonder if the poor girl had childhood issues. point is, we've actually mentioned Frankenstein
Yeah.
a million times, haven't we, Anthony, on the streams?
We have, and we kind of delved into the background really of of Mary and a wonderful mother and father, and
Well,
that
I'm
the
sorry.
gateway, that was just a gateway for her to explore with their blessing and their yeah
See, a mother is one of my great heroines,
yeah
Mary Wollstonecraft, and Godswin, her husband, and Mary's dad was a great philosopher, a deep thinker,
yeah
and Mary, did she have social issues, childhood issues? Well, her mother, Mary Wollstonecraft, died giving birth to her. So when you lose your mother, as you're growing up and you don't have a mother, while other children had, mothers,
yeah.
why haven't I got a mother? Because there's been an issue with her. We there's nothing there's nothing written down about any
No,
issues about being
there's a
having no mother or any childhood issues because she was loved. And then
there's,
she met Percy Bysshe.
there's a certain poignancy, obviously, because we can all
Oh yeah,
imagine how that would have felt, and the background to her childhood is some would say it was sad. Some would say it was inspirational. The talk of her actual learning how to read and write in the graveyard where her mother was buried. You're never quite sure if it's been embroidered over the years, but it's a fascinating story. As she sat at her mother's graveside, um,
well,
with
don't you think though? I'm sorry to go in
no,
because don't you think that in her mind, her mother's spirit lived?
yes,
Because obviously her dad, Godwin, he
yeah,
was telling her all about her mother.
yeah,
Her
yeah,
mother, so when she got at that age, obviously she was brought to a graveside as a child. This is where your mother is.
yeah,
So she's got that in her that she can talk to her or
yeah,
talk to a spirit. So that's why she went to the graveside and spoke to her mother.
yeah, absolutely. And then you touch on an interesting point there, which is like from then from right now the sense of spirit, the sense of nothing is there until you make it there. So you have your thoughts come from somewhere, you write them down, and then it becomes something that can be judged. There's a large talk across history of writers, artists, musicians, everything who tap into that sense of spirit, imagination, and that's the basis of their creativity. Are certainly true of her. And I think her father sounds absolutely remarkable, and he'd given her all of his wife, her mum's notes and
Yes.
stuff and books. Said if you're interested, and of course she was interested. Who wouldn't be? You know.
What was not amusing at the time, but Godwin himself, because they weren't married. were they? They weren't married, and she was 3 days before having a baby. You know, Mary.
Yeah.
3 days away. And they said, "I think we should get married." So you
And
can
she's
imagine, like Mary Wollstonecraft just looking at him saying, "You're okay," because she never ever married.
no. Well, she apparently said, why? Why?
Yeah, exactly.
He said,
She wanted, I'm sorry, but she did want to be. She wasn't going to let a man, any man in a male-dominated society, question her
no.
because men did, as you know, they always question.
Yeah. Again, back to what you said before, the poignancy of that we devised these cages to put us all in. So your sexuality becomes an issue if you want to talk about it, and someone else says you can't talk about that. You can't talk about homosexuality, or that's banned.
Yeah. Well, that's what happened to Christopher Marlowe.
Yeah,
Now, Christopher Marlowe, I think uh, he was homosexual, we know this. And in reality, he was flamboyant, if you know what I mean.
yeah,
And he was living in an age of sword fights and knife fights and whatever. And he was always with his contemporaries. He always went for a drink. And they just sat in a corner. And they had drinks. They just had drinks. And they needed to get rid of them. And it goes to the hierarchy up there. And anyone who spoke of the devil, for example, demons, and you've only got to look at what Shakespeare said when he said, "Hell is empty,
yeah,
all the devils are here."
yeah,
Right? Now you have Christopher Marlowe being this flamboyant, and homosexuality was totally outlawed. If you think, like, in the 20th century and whatever, well, any bloody century, but
yeah,
I'm talking about our generation when it was totally and utterly outlawed homosexuality, and
yeah,
you went to jail. This is why we're on the planet. But going back then to 1594, he was told this agent. Now it came from the hierarchy to this agent to go out and pick an argument with this Christopher Marlowe chap. Go and pick a fight with him. He drinks in such a place. Okay. But make sure that he never speaks again or writes another play. So where do you think who do you think the hierarchy was?
it's their version of MI5, isn't it, or MI6? It's the comes from the King's Court, the Queen's Court.
The Queen's Court. Okay, so who was head of the Queen's Court? The
Robert
main man.
Cecil.
Yes, bang on. Bang on. So this agent went down to this pub, seen this flamboyant chap, picked on him, had a knife fight. Well, as I said about knife fights, sword fights, and he killed him, stabbed him. And he was arrested. The fellow was arrested, actually. Now, he's an agent. He's an agent. And he went before a court for the murder of one of the great playwrights at the time. This is all out in the open because of that big.
Yeah.
Christopher Marlowe dead. Stabbed to death in a fight. So if it was been you and I, we would have been at the ends of a noose, or the ends of our head or neck would have been at the ends of a big axe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you know what happened to him, the fella?
He didn't serve much time, did he?
He said no time. He served no time whatsoever. He was actually fined a shilling, the equivalent of a shilling. And he didn't pay it because he was an agent and walked away. In other words, he was a hitman.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was a hitman.
Yeah.
So it does go on there, right through. And, as Hatchie says about Mary Shelley, can we let her know, and the rest of them, after they read these out, how come she had written Frankenstein? And the full title's very important.
Yeah.
Very important. Frankenstein, Prometheus, Unbound. It's a very important title. And Johann says, when I was talking about, and he says Alan Turing as well.
Yes.
It's shocking what happened to him, Johann, as you know. Shocking. And actually says, Catherine du Maurier wrote Jamaica in Nothing New Under the Sun with Pirates. One of my favourite books, actually, by du Maurier, is Rebecca. A fantastic piece of literature. Fantastic piece. So you do have, a love story that I think at the time, I don't know whether you agree with me here, but you will, I think. At the time, this particular love story, there was boundaries, lots of boundaries.
Yeah.
And one of them was murder, in inverted commas. Because he was more or less accused by whispers that he murdered Rebecca when he didn't. So, it was a very intriguing, it was a mystery, in all honesty. And when he made the film, I think, I love the film with Laurence Olivier and Joan Fontaine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there was loads taken out of the actual book itself. Daphne du Maurier, her name was, not Catherine Atchie. Daphne. What do you think of? What do you think of? Let me just read these out about Prometheus Unbound, Frankenstein. So I'll just read these out. And Bella says, "Hi, Anthony, hope you're well."
Hi, Bella. I'm good, thank you. Hope you are too.
And that she says, "If you didn't go over the top, your sergeant would shoot you." Oh my God, lots of them got shot by their own as well. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you're right. There was what I used to do a murder, and unfortunately, I lost. I'm going back years ago. I used to do a murder, well, a few murders to be honest, and I lost all my notes through transition, and I can't do it anymore. But you know the way, like when you're talking to somebody and you say, "I'll paraphrase what they said." That's the only way I can do a murder. And it was a serial killer in the First World War. A serial killer. And he was ruthless. And he was getting away with it all the time. You've got to know the mindset, Anthony, of a serial killer. They're not just like, a person that, and kills someone and bumps into someone, kills them. It's the mindset of them.
Yeah.
They like to see death.
Psychopathic.
Oh, biggies. So if you ever want me to do that, but I'd have to paraphrase it because I've lost all my work on it.
I would love to have heard that. Seen
It
that.
was incredible. It was incredible. Anyway, actually, if you didn't go over the top, absolutely, you were shot. Actually, again, Frank, they changed the rules in society to cause conflict. Of course they do. That's political.
Yeah.
That's political.
Control.
Yeah. You had a great English philosopher, John Stuart Mill, and he wanted the emancipation of women in the mid-19th century, just like Mary Wollstonecraft and a few others, by the way. You had the likes of William Wordsworth, and when Spencer Perceval was shot, the Prime Minister, he really thought it was the first shot of a revolution. They were waiting for the revolution in this country.
Yeah.
These great writers. Anyway. And Bella says, Franco and Anthony, Langston Hughes hold fast to dream, for if dreams die, life is broken. There's a broken winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast for dreams, for when the dreams go, life is a barren field frozen with snow. That's brilliant, that. It's just like I leant upon a copper skate when frost was spectre grey. When you look at that darkling thrush, it's an absolutely fantastic poem. I advise everyone to read Thomas Hardy's A Darkling Thrush.
Yeah.
It's an incredible poem.
I see it as a subtitle for freedom.
Yeah.
To escape.
Yeah. But a broken wing, as Bella says, I've seen a bird with a broken wing, and it's so stressful.
Yeah.
It stressed me out, and the poor bird was stressed out.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to it because I had to walk away. I was in my 20s, early 20s.
Yeah. That's the cruelty of nature sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and Lee, evening, Frank, Anthony, and chat.
Good evening, Owen. Hope you're good.
And Johan says a lot of serial killers start by
Yes.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. If you ever chat, if you ever want me to do that, but it'll have to be, I'd have to paraphrase it. I'm sorry, can't even show you pictures or nothing because I haven't got them. So if you ever
It's
want
a,
me to do it, just say yes, do it. Not
I
now,
think
not tonight. Go on.
I, I think you should do. We should do on a Monday night, and
Yeah,
if you give us time, Jason and I will try and dig for some images or stuff, footage. You talk us through it, and we'll try and find stuff.
it was shocking. It was this man, this soldier, whether see, I remember him being a. I tell you what he was. He was a fishmonger. Caught fish. He was a fisherman. And if you think about it, you know, in these markets, slicing the fish up and things like that.
Yeah.
And that's a sort of, as Johan says, killing animals. Well, that is as well, fish. Getting a fish and you see it wobbling and then you hit it, don't you? Just cut the head off. I
Yeah.
think that's horrible. I seen that when I was away once.
Yeah.
I was in a bloody Turkey, and I was having I was just sitting down, I was having a meal, and this lady, she was elderly, with her elderly husband, asked for fish, and and he was a big tank, and he pulled this fish out, and he went over to her. It was in a
Wow.
little net, and he went over to her, and he said, "This madam," and she was looking, and she went, "No, no, no." So she never had fish because she knew when you go to the chip shop and you order fish and chips, but it's not like ordering a fish in a restaurant where they come over and go, "This one, madam," because you know that's going to be killed
Yeah.
immediately like that. A
Yeah.
live thing, alive. The creatures to me, they're alive.
Yeah.
They make little fishes.
Yeah.
This is what I mean about, when they say it's all right fishing. And when you see documentaries about these fishermen and they're bringing the haul in, they're all like this and, in the net. They're trying to escape.
Yeah. 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 There's one.
Well, I'm like that. And Ambi says, Daphne du Maurier also wrote a gothic tale. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ambi. And Johan says, yes, do it next week. So I'll do it next week.
It's definitely Monday night. Well, we will talk over the next few days, and you let me know. And if we get the information, pictures, if we find any, to Jason by Saturday or Sunday, then he can upload them.
Here's
But
a,
still,
here's a, listen to this one, Anthony. My mum was head of the hospital in Walton Prison when it was a category A. She had to interview every murderer to assess them. The
wow.
story she told me would blow your mind. I knew a
Wow.
murderer, and he lived in Jerry Gardens,
Oh,
right? A murderer. He went to our school. He had sisters, he had brothers. And to, to look at him and to listen to him, he was all right. He was all right. But he ended up murdering a prostitute. And he went to jail for life. But hardly anyone ever talks about that, where he grew up. Hardly anyone ever talked about it.
well, this is the thing that the obviously in in times politically, people have talked about areas, hypothetically Liverpool, as inferior because it breeds this class of person, you know, and it's used as a weapon. But when my mind goes everywhere. But I was reading about serial killers, and I got kind of hooked on it. The number of serial killers, people who have no emotion and just do it, who are connected to the police force and the armed service because they're paid to do as you described, the fishmonger and the restaurateurs, you know.
Well, I think that's great. And I'll tell you for why. You just hit the nail on the head with what I said about the serial killer, the soldier, armed forces, the armed forces. And you're trained, aren't you? In the armed forces. I'm not saying you're trained to kill. That's what the armed forces are all about. You're trained to kill. Not that every soldier that comes out the army after being demobbed or just leaving it. You can leave today. You can just say, I've had enough. I'm going home. I'm going home to me mum. But and people, I've always said this. I'm being honest. Uh, Remember when I told you I had to go to Germany and carry on with the squaddies, children's education, English. After I was blacklisted here myself. Anyway, goes there, and these fellas, and I tell you who they were. They were Irish. Forget the Rangers, the Irish Rangers. They were, and I was teaching their kids. I tell you what, I can tell you some stories. But these fellas got up to. Not like, it's just like when you went out for a drink and they were just talking to me because they knew me because I was teaching their kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, Bella says, yes, Franco and Anthony, please do it.
Yeah.
That's the
We
story.
go.
And Johan, you're so right, says Owen. So let's get back to Mary Shelley. And how she began to write, and she never wrote a day, as you know. So she began to write. Carry on.
I I, I think although she possibly didn't write anything here, it's that thing of talking and experiencing and meeting other people. Um, she met a lot of people through her father. Her father was very influential, and even Shelley himself, Percy Shelley, saw her father as a mentor, a role model, because he was not confined by you just write about that. You know, you don't write about it. It just their world was as the reason we love William Blake. Their world had no gate, no boundaries, and I think she grew up with a healthy sense of learning as she met these individual people. No doubt scientists, book publishers, poets, authors, artists, William Blake being one of them. Um, and I think at a point in time, when you put on the spot, it's like now you've kind of put yourself not on the spot, but say, okay, I'm Monday going to do this. So your mind gathers everything that you feel we're going to need on Monday. I think she's done the same. And when the gauntlet was thrown down, so called, that let's all write something, you know, she had her ideas.
Well, as you know, with the title, Anthony, Prometheus Unbound, and
Yeah,
you're quite correct by saying these people who she met. These people who she met. She even met clergy, you know. She even met clergy. And when you think, you can even go back to Galileo, when, you know, they was calling him a heretic simply because he said that the planets went around the sun,
yeah,
whereas the church said that the sun goes around the earth. That's how God made it.
yeah,
And she questioned science. She questioned the Bunsen burner.
yeah,
She questioned a godless society. This is what people tend to forget about Frankenstein. I'm
yeah,
not talking about our chatters here. I'm talking about film goers who have never ever picked up the book
no,
and John Walton, a
yeah,
captain, a sea captain. And that's how it started. When he's seen in the distance, in the frozen waste of the Arctic, someone coming up to to a ship in the barren wastes, snowy wastes. And it was a great start to a great story. But the story was all about science.
yeah,
See, how it started, people have actually said in these barren wastes, snow, frozen, freezing, cold weather in the Arctic, it's an ungodly place. You've heard them saying that.
yeah,
I've read loads of things like that. Even ordinary people who go to the south, always an ungodly place. So it's that's how it started off, in an ungodly place, because science was ungodly to a number of people, and
yeah,
Mary Shelley was one of them. They were
yeah,
turning against God. They were blaspheming against God. This is how she looked at it. I'm talking about the sciences. I'm not talking about you or I or any of our lovely people there on the chat. She was actually talking about these sciences, scientists, because they looked at the earth differently. They looked at it differently. You've only got to look at Darwin.
Yes.
You've only got to look at him because they were calling him a heretic, weren't they?
Yeah, they were, because it is not in any box.
Oh,
These people are in the stratosphere.
yeah. It's a crack at that. He wasn't in a box. Do you think that we're all in boxes today?
Yes. I think that's the pattern, and I think the problem lies multi factors. There's a classism. There's certainly education puts us in that. Those that are worthy, those that are not worthy, those that are factory fodder, those that are, all of that is preset probably earlier than William Blake, and maybe earlier than William Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Know your place.
Steppen says, good evening, keepers of the light. Just finished watching a show on Edgar Allan Poe. We had a thought for Mr. Brown. Have you painted him? Edgar Poe, buried alive by, on YouTube.
I have started painting them. I started about 4 years ago, and it's quite a large one. And yeah, you will see in progress, Stefan. Yeah, he's hiding in the shed at the moment.
He's hiding in the shed.
But yeah,
I love that.
immediately I read him, I wanted to paint him. It's just like, just absolutely against all odds.
Oh, yeah, look at Johan says to Stefan, I saw it on my recommended videos. Was it good? I've saved it for later. That's the
Yeah, the documentary, the film. Yeah.
And Rush is on the far side, and he says, "Hello, that's not football. It's tonight, Rush. It's literature, the history of literature."
But football tomorrow night, obviously, the game.
Do you know what? I've got a message up here. They're having trouble streaming on Facebook. This may be an issue on Facebook's end. It is possible the stream was ended or deleted on Facebook. We'll keep trying and let you know if it's resolved. Please check Facebook to ensure the stream looks okay. If this continues for a while, by creating a new live stream, or just remove this destination from the stream, then re-add it. Oh fuck! I don't know. I don't know whether
King Charles I again. Yeah.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Sorry, there, people.
As we go.
This is meltdown. Well, I'm all right now, anyway. So.
Yeah.
And Snapey says, and Russia's on the far side. Is it? And Russia's. That's it, Snapey, go. That's it, Snapey. and rushes on the far side. Is it 3? It is. And that was against Newcastle. Right? Yes. And the Anfield, even in Frankie, lad, and Anthony, see,
Oh,
all them Scotches are for you.
evening, Raw. Hope you're good, mate. Oh my gosh. Taxi home again, Frank.
Do you know what you want to do? You want to bring an empty bottle, and you could go like that. Instead of getting a taxi home, you can get the empty bottle and just go all a little and fill us up. Step into Johan, yes, quite good, especially if you read him. He grew up inspired by Byron. I am reading Dupin's stories and could not help but notice that Sherlock was born from them. Enjoy. There you go.
There you go. Thank you, Stephen. There we are. Facebook seems to be going okay.
Oh yeah. There we go.
Obviously, we're not commenting, so we're not in that.
No.
There you go.
I sometimes don't understand why some people say film wasn't as good as the book, says Steve Mulholland.
The book is always the one, isn't it, Stephen?
Yeah.
It's that I remember that as a kid because in the 70s and 80s movies versions of books there were gross differences between them, and you're watching I haven't read the book, you're watching a film and you're thinking that didn't happen, that's not right, even down to removing characters and being in something else, which is not. Again, we've talked about it before in the past. If you and I were painting a mural celebrating City of Liverpool, whatever, you concisely put in what is needed to put in your painting. And then the last thing you need is for someone to come on with a big tin of yellow paint and say, oh, well, just take that out. Shouldn't be. The book is the manuscript, which is sacred.
I remember going away in the early 70s and I brought Jaws. Jaws had just come out.
Yeah.
By that Benchley fella.
Yeah.
And I brought that away and I read it.
Yeah.
A year or so later, Jaws, the film, came out. And it was different.
Yeah.
The shark was there eating everyone and terrorizing, bathers and whatever in this little town, Amity. But the storyline was different.
Yeah.
The storyline was different.
Adaptive,
but,
wasn't
it didn't stop me enjoyment of the film, and it didn't stop me enjoyment of the book, the story of the book. But it was different. If anyone has ever read it and seen the film.
Yeah. Read the book first.
Yeah. They're all letting on to one another.
Good.
Johan says, MI6 have been after you since Friday's show. Oh. Thanks, Johan. Thanks for reminding me. I'm glad that, people, because He must have seen me reading something, then all of a sudden I just had to go, well, bye. Bye. And Uncle Joe says, hey up, Aunt and Frank, and a pint for Frank. Nothing for you.
Hey, no, I was sure we'll get 2 straws. We can adapt.
We can adapt. Do getting back to Mary Shelley and the sciences and the likes of Darwin, actually, because as she was writing about the sciences, Darwin was writing about the evolvement of man. I have to say, man, I can't, there's no other way of saying it. Or human beings.
Yeah.
And he wasn't a scientist as such, but he did go around the world. He did these. He looked at, or tried to look at every creature, whether it was a mammal, whether it was a little fish in the sea, whether it was an animal roaming the earth, and he really came under a lot of criticism. Do you think Mary Shelley came under criticism for Frankenstein?
I think she probably did. I also think that's how they ultimately packaged it up to say this is a horror story, a fictional story, as we found years later when people started to talk about science fiction, which implies it's not the truth. But obviously, we know that there is truth in those, and we know from some of the greats, H.G. Wells and the like, years later, was based on truth, observational. She was observing what she was seeing and hearing from this unique bunch of people she was in the company of.
Well, it's like Dickens. Dickens observed everything.
Yeah.
He observed everything. When he was a bit of a reporter, he used to go to courtrooms, as you know, and he was listening to court cases from thieving, thieves to murderers, and he was fixing his characters as he was observing.
Yeah, real life.
Yeah, when he came to Liverpool, as you know, he wanted to go down the dockside because he knew that there was lots of, shall we say, skullduggery down there. There was lots of murders, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Tons of thieving.
Yeah.
And that's why you had the harbour master, Jesse Hartley. Now, he came under pressure, Hartley, because there was lots of thieving. Ships were just pulling in and, onto the dockside. But there was lots of thieving. There was nowhere. The goods were just tied up because ships had to get off. So people were coming down thieving the goods. So we decided to build a warehouse. And we see it today called the Royal Albert Dock. And it's incredible. It was the greatest brick engineering of the 20th century. the 19th century.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, built beautifully to alleviate the problem.
Yeah,
For
and that was it, to put the guns in, that's all.
yeah,
So no matter what it is, inspires you to do something about. And Mary Shelley was no exception. She's seen science as the ruination of man. That is a scientist thinking that he could be a god and created man himself
yeah,
with body parts.
in opposition to God.
Absolutely, they're spot on. And that's the way she's seeing every scientist. Not doing the good for their people, but being, shall we say, anti-God. Johan says Game of Thrones is similar. They actually finished the show before the author finished the book. No wonder people hated the final season, and George R. R. Martin is rewriting the climax and an epilogue.
I knew there was unhappiness about the final season. We watched that, but I'd never read the books.
See, I've never read them, I'm being honest. They weren't my type of books.
No, we Laney and I got into it kind of long after the event of it launching. Through the kids said, "Watch it." I look at something and it, like the Harry Potter series, and it totally reminded me of Tolkien. And I remember reading The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings years ago when I was um, 18, 19, and being blown away by the books.
Now, why were you blown away by the books at that age?
Because your imagination just goes with it, I think.
Yes. And it's getting away from other literature.
Yeah.
It's getting away from other literature.
It wasn't fixed. It was a world that I knew nothing about.
Yeah.
Historic in sorts, but it was complex, and it required your focus. I mean, you've often said how many people have read this book or read this poem but don't understand it. It was that kind of thing. I felt it was showing me a world that I knew nothing about. And
it was like landing on a different planet, wasn't it? Really, that's the way I looked at it.
Yeah.
And a different planet, and you're looking around and you say, "Well, what's going on here?"
Yeah. Yeah. And it stayed with me forever. And I said to Lainey, don't read the books, and I said to the kids, and they're on that shelf there, and over there, and they've been there for years. And that's the beauty of literature when it becomes physical, isn't it? Is that it's quite profound, really. There are books and there are pieces of music I've got which I would never let go from me. Obviously, it'll go one time. The kids will have a bonfire or whatever. But
I was just looking at something there, and on my bookshelf here, and there are some great books I've got. Books that when you look for something, and then you come across something, and you go, "Wow, forgot I had that." It's just like the book I'm going to give Lainey, which is Gothic short stories.
yeah,
And I remember reading brilliant, absolutely brilliant short stories. And see, I've got I even found this, and it's a literary companion. Very short, but some of the things in it, poetic puzzles, for example. And I've just opened this page there, and it's got, which of his novels did Charles Dickens say he liked the best? You know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah.
And it's a cracking little, it's everything Poets' Corner.
Yeah.
Poets' Corner, part of the south transept of Westminster Abbey. Poets' Corner contains the tombs and monuments of many of Britain's now distinguished authors, playwrights, and poets. And someone mentioned before Geoffrey Chaucer and Canterbury Tales, and I had to do them for A-level, and hard. Now there's one here, and remember when I mentioned the Fairy Queen in the history show?
Yeah. Recently. Yeah.
It's like that, the poem. It's like that's thick. I used to have it. I don't know what's happened to it. The Fairy Queen. And Sir Edmund Spenser is there as well. The poems. And, incredible. Spenser was the second. His burial started the tradition of burying. I can't hardly read this very small print. Burying poets, writers, and playwrights near each other in the Abbey, because the first one to be buried in the Abbey was Geoffrey Chaucer. Poets' Corner.
Yeah.
I think it's. Have you ever? I've been in there. I went into Poets' Corner, and I had a look at this, Anthony, and it was incredible. Shakespeare's there, obviously, and you look and you say, all these literary giants, that we love so much, that's give us so much pleasure.
Yeah.
Over the years.
Yeah. And then you have the double poignancy of William Blake, who I think was originally buried in a pauper's grave. As we have many of those sites in Liverpool and the country, and then it was only through protest of a handful of people that he was kind of moved to a more respectful place.
Yes. So I found this, and I've had this for years.
Brilliant.
And I couldn't. Look what I found. It's even got the Medici family here.
Wow. Lorenzo Medici.
Prince Machiavelli.
He was the great, wasn't he?
Oh.
And he did so much for literature and art. He had that sense of sharing in him. I know his family weren't all like that.
And do you know what it's got here? The Prince Machiavelli. And it's got, because it's really great. It's only got small, very small,
Yeah.
You have a couple of sentences about a certain person.
Yeah.
And it's got here, Machiavelli conceived this Royal Tone, after he had been wrongly imprisoned for his fomenting a rebellion against Florence's ruling Medici family. And when you see, a Machiavellian villain, you see it in books and everything. Oh, he was a
Yeah.
Machiavellian
Yeah.
villain. You see,
Yeah.
absolutely brilliant. Love it. Made up a found to the game. Tolkien created his own language. We often ask whether a film is rewatchable. Tolkien is definitely readable.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, Johan. Yeah. And he did. He was a master of language, wasn't he? That was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Stepan says, I found Lord of the Rings at lunchtime in the school library. I had no idea. I read it for 2 hours and I had forgotten where I was. Isn't that brilliant? Isn't that brilliant? Have you ever been in that situation where you're reading? There's an old saying, isn't there? Once you pick a book up, oh, it's that book. I couldn't put it down. I had to keep on reading. And I was in St. John. I'm sorry about this. I've just got an itch. I'm not doing it. It's only an itch here. And I was in St. John's Gardens, Anthony. And I was reading, what was it called? I don't know whether I was reading The Hounds of the Baskervilles or what.
Wow.
And you know the way you forget the time?
Yeah.
And I started to go cold. And I was only sitting on a bench. And then all of a sudden, it was late. Because I couldn't take my eyes off. Was it the Hounds of the Baskervilles? I'm not quite so sure,
Beautiful.
But I love Holmes. I love Conan Doyle's Holmes's novels, Love them.
That's what I was saying before about the power of literature. That it can totally block out the cars beeping horns and whatever in life, and you're engrossed in this magic.
And it is magic. There is magic. And Ali the Noose says, good evening. Good evening, Ali.
Good evening.
Our Romanian friend. Lovely man. Stefan says, Frank and Anthony, we love books, music, all art. We find art everywhere in Liverpool at the highest quality, and people love sharing. How many things of the city that way? Do you know what? I've got to say this, Stefan. We all think. I'm not saying we think differently. We don't. But when someone criticizes Liverpool as they do every single day, because they all think that we're all thick, thieves, don't work, and we go around scrounging, we even scrounging for food. And that's when we rebel against these people who say these derogatory things towards us, towards the city of Liverpool and its people. So, see, people look at the Beatles. I'm talking about music now. They look at the Beatles and they say they put Liverpool on the map in music. Well, they did in a certain way. But when you look at the Philharmonic Hall, you've got an orchestra there that is called the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, given the prefix of royal. So does that come before the Beatles? Because it was before the Beatles. But there's a different genre of music. We had one of the greatest flamboyant who Anthony and myself loved, and he was a jazzman, outrageous, flamboyant, brilliant man.
Great
Loved
man.
the city. Who was it, Anthony? Tell them who it was.
He was the great George Melly, whose family are quite, did I say historic in Liverpool? But
Yes,
they span decades,
yes.
and he never, ever, ever lost his love for the city.
No.
And
And
up
we've
until
got, sorry, go on.
death, he 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 fundraised for one of the most beautiful gems in Liverpool's landscape, the beautiful Sefton Park Palm House, when it
And
was engaged.
it was in bits, wasn't it?
Was
And the man was dying.
Yeah,
He was dying, and he was outside Asda or somewhere where he lived down south, and he has a purple T-shirt on in a wheelchair, for God's sake, with the farmhouse, a little logo of the farm,
yeah, save the Palm House.
and he was as a box, and he was asking people. He never ever forgotten his roots.
Never
And
did.
this is why the man was dying. And you've got to know about the Melly family because they were a remarkable family. Charles Melly was an incredible man. He bought a biplane. And this is when planes first came out by the Wright brothers. And you're talking 1911. And he used to fly to Manchester. He used to fly there to Manchester. He used to take off on Southport Sands because it was hard ground, hard sand.
Yeah,
And he used to take off. And he said to his wife, now you could imagine his wife in 1911 with all this Edwardian stuff on, big long dresses, big wide dresses, and the bonnets. And he said, you fancy going up? She went, behave yourself, I'm not going in that. Anyway, he forced her in and he took off. And to me, she was the first female to go up in a plane. I've never heard of anyone else. Before 1911, only that lady, his wife.
yeah.
Now, you did one of my favourite sketches is what you did, Anthony, of the little water.
The water fountain.
Who put them there?
He did.
He did.
He did, because he travelled Dublin, Paris, London, I think, various cities where people could obtain water from a tap a clean tap, a fountain in the streets, whereas Liverpool Council at the time were charging people for water and we couldn't afford water. So you consequently thousands of people lived in homes, hovels, where no running water
No,
was available. And
none whatsoever.
I think it took him a couple of years, didn't it?
Yeah, well, he had murder, well, not murder, but he was saying, "Hang on a minute, we've got to." He's seen people on their knees after it rained drinking stagnant water
Yeah,
from the gutters,
yeah,
and he said, this is wrong because people were suffering from terrible diseases.
yeah,
Anyway, because even the sewage system was shocking, as you know. Took a long time to fix it. But anyway, people were suffering, from drinking from stagnant water. Stagnant water. Anyway, he went around and he went to the utilities and there was no there. And he started, he said, listen, and he paid for it. Put little taps in, walls. What you magnificently drew. Sketched, not drew, sketched. And these little pipes, where you press in and the water comes up and you go like that and it goes away.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Have you ever done that? I was
Yeah, I have. Yeah,
you go like that and you go,
yeah. The rights of childhood. That is a and there's a
like,
queue of people behind you. Oh, come on, Frank. Come on. Get it here for you.
you were like a bird trying to catch a fly.
Yeah,
Incredible.
yeah.
But
And they are
anyway,
still here. They're still here.
yes,
Remarkable family. And,
yes.
George was a
Oh,
singer, an author, a writer, a poet, a
just a
lyricist.
lovely man, just a lovely man. And I know it's history, like, but the family are actually buried in the ancient chapel of Toxteth, the ancient chapel. I've been in there, and it was remarkable. It's only a small little church, but when you go around the little cemetery, there's the Melly family there. Proud of them. I'm proud of them.
Yeah,
And as that says, I have started reading again the Jungle Book, Kim, and his very powerful and beautiful poem, Mandalay, a small part. Can't you hear their paddles chunking from Ragoon to Mandalay? I've got it here somewhere.
beautiful.
Because I used to have a Zoom class um, every Wednesday doing poems, novels, and plays. So we did. They picked a novel and we used to do it, and one of them was Kim. So we did that. Went through it. Um, Plays, obviously Shakespeare and Cyril Ternier's The Revengeous Tragedy,
Yes.
and even Christopher Marlowe did him as well. I forget the bloody title, to be honest. And so It was really good. It was really good.
Yeah.
So that's great, that. It's really good. Losing time to a book is time gained in imagination, says Young.
Yeah.
Isn't that lovely?
Yeah.
Cheeky.
Yeah. Yes.
The man on the telly. What's that? The man on the telly, Amby. The man on the telly. And Johan says, with all that, your city has contributed to Western society, from railways to X-ray, philanthropy, let alone the docks. The Beatles put Liverpool on the map. Almost sounds like an insult. Isn't that brilliant from
It,
Johan?
it is. It's written obviously in the modern sense, Johan, and culturally, there were some absolutely amazing people that should have got the level of acclaim that the Beatles got. William Roscoe for one of them. But obviously, times that didn't fit. I think the Beatles thing, much as I adore them, love them, I think times were changing after the war. It was a time where literature and stage work, plays, poetry, music was giving back to people that sense of freedom,
Yeah.
a sense of peace. You know, two world wars. So,
Exactly.
so the Beatles timed it brilliantly.
And Odette says, I heard John Lennon was a writer and wrote short stories and poems. Is
Yeah.
it possible to buy them in his own right and a Spaniard in the works?
Yes.
Would be lovely to read the beauty of his words on paper.
Yeah. They have done reissues of them, Odette, and you can get them on Amazon, eBay,
There you
places
go.
like Amazon, and you get like a reproduction of what it looked like in 1964 was when it came out. And so they released it in 1964. He wrote the stories when he was a schoolboy because he used to have all his friends in school in pleats laughing because he would do images of the teachers like Mr. Jones or whatever and write words, nonsensical words. Again, going back to the likes of Leah, you know, nonsense poems. And
It's like a Spaniard in the works.
there you
You know,
go.
where you say a Spaniard in the works. It's Spaniard. It's like when he said about, I wandered lonely as a sock. You
Yeah,
know, obviously words were.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And even in the songs, you know,
He was a poet in the songs.
yeah, absolutely.
Poetry.
If you listen to Strawberry Fields,
Oh,
it's very autobiographical, but it's you know, let me take you down because I'm going. You know, that's what you and I would say. You meet someone in town, and you say, "Oh, well, where's such a place? Let me take you down because I'm going there." And then he describes what is there, you know. And as a 20 or 21-year-old, he wrote one of the greatest lyrics I think ever in, you can call it pop music, rock music, whatever, but just out there, contemporary, which is in my life. There are places I will remember all my life, though some have changed, some have gone.
I think that's it's poignant, that though, isn't it?
Yes,
Very
it is.
poignant. There
It's
are places I remember. all my life. And, you know, when he died, I was down in London
Yeah.
and never forget it. And I got woken up and it was 7:20 in the morning, 20 minutes past 7. And I was shit, you know, I said, yeah,
Yeah.
John Lennon's dead. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. And do you know the first thing I said? He must have gone out with a bang. Not knowing, obviously. That's what I said. And our kid phoned me up a few days later. He said, Francis, he said, there's a Virgil going on. You know, on the plateau, St. George's Hall.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I couldn't make it up. I couldn't get up.
Yeah. Hundreds of thousands of people in the city just wandering around. Didn't make sense. How could it happen? Doesn't make sense. No. Why? All the questions that come to mind. And there's such a soundtrack of many lives. But well, yeah. Yeah.
Well, when I went into the Arts Centre a couple of nights later,
Yeah.
um, they were all standing. You know, when I walked in, it just went quiet.
Yeah.
And they looked over, and they were all coming over, consoling me because I was from Liverpool. Because just a while before, if you remember, Woman came out.
Yes. Weeks.
And we were saying, and we were all talking about it in the Arts Centre, that Lennon is making, you know, he's come out, he's on the road again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why, you know, because we were discussing Lennon. And it was so sad. And they were consoling me. And our kids, you know, was saying, Francis, it's so sad up here. He said, even old people, you know, were just shaking their heads.
Yeah.
Everybody felt it because it was like losing someone. Well, this was me personally. It was like losing someone, like either, you know, a close relative or a very best friend.
Yeah, was absolutely, Frank. I was working as a chef then, and I bought a black armband for a fortnight and could not converse. Although I was playing music, I did not want to play. Didn't want to touch anything. Didn't want to listen to anyone else playing. It was like shutters had come down.
I had a Doberman pincer and a parakeet. The Doberman was named Lennon, and the parakeet was Yoko.
Beautiful. You know.
So it's like you know, if you talk, we talk about literature, and it's, you know, you're reading these wonderful people, the likes of Shakespeare, the likes of Dickens, the likes of William Blake, the likes of all these wonderful, Mary Shelley.
Yeah.
I read out a poem before, To His Love, and he couldn't even say, yeah, look, because he would have been in jail and most probably beaten up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, this was society that was unfair.
It was, and we're talking about John Lennon. No, it's not a problem with the Beatles, but he wrote a song in the early days of the Beatles in support of Brian Epstein, their manager, who of course was homosexual, but could not. It wasn't out there, although he was beaten up. He was threatened and everything, and he wrote a song called "You've Got to Hide Your Love Away."
Oh yeah. Hey, you got to hide your love away.
That was about Brian being gay. You know,
And no one thinks of that.
no,
Those lyrics.
no, that's a genius of authors, writers. That's why we love them. And the other thing is that obviously we all connect to
Yeah.
something that's been done, and it's not about copy and paste, copy that work and now put my name on it. Too much of that goes on today, and I despise it. But what was happening was Lennon was inspired by John Keats, Shakespeare, you know, William Blake, all of
I've
them.
always said, I've always said about Lennon, just him, that he was a genius in his own right. He was an intellectual from a
Yeah,
very young age.
yeah,
From a
yeah,
very young age,
yeah.
he was an
And it goes
intellect.
to that thing we were talking about before about allowing yourself to be put in a cage
Yeah,
where Mary Shelley wasn't,
yeah.
and her mum, Mary Wollstonecraft, was not, and her dad. And they were kind of what they quaintly called free thinkers.
Yeah,
So outside the box, William Blake, the same. Lennon was the same. And as we talked, there's some musicians, obviously, because musicians and pop stars and the like become today's uh, essential authors, so to Bob Dylan and the like. But one of the bands that I was never really into when I was a kid, but I just got a commission to paint the main guy who's passed away, Jim Morrison of the Doors. And when I read about him, he was so transfixed with William Blake and Keats. So this is a guy who's like this wild rock star, but he wanted to be a poet. Didn't want to be in a band. He wanted to be a poet. And William Blake was the one that said to him, "You can write write freely."
and who was ever taught Jim Morrison and his love for William Blake and John Keats.
Oh, oh.
Yeah, yeah.
Can't go there, can you? But we're all inspired. That's what you're doing on these shows. That's what you've done to me. That's why I'm painting day in day out because I'm loving it. But cause you say, "Have you heard of that or that lady?" And I said, "No, but I." And then it's, "Wow, why haven't we heard of these people?"
And this is what we're trying to put over.
Yes,
Albeit there are wonderful chatters I've heard all about these people. And step into your answer is yes, the Beatles, the merit to remind the world, not only the UK of Liverpool talent, takes rebellion like John's, as Frank stated, but I trust the big heart of Liverpudlians as a role too. That's nice.
yeah. The
That's
the
lovely.
the, the humour was very Liverpool.
Yeah. And Ambi says, when she said about the man on the telly, George Melly Frank, yes.
Yeah,
Thank you, Ambi, for coming back to me on that.
good time,
Uh,
George.
Good times, George, yeah. And Odette says, we, the Beatles, wrote Can't Buy Me, yeah, in Paris
Yeah,
and helped to develop the French pop music and the yay scene. So merci, John, Paul, Ringo, and George.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, that's lovely. And she says that when I grew up, artists like I love France. Oh, she's just recently passed, hasn't she? Francoise Hardy.
oh,
And I could never pronounce this fella's name. Leslie, a little French people to Liverpool and the culture from the city via the Beatles. It developed my love, and I will say many French too. He's had a great singer over there, isn't he? Called Johnny Halliday. Johnny Halliday.
yeah,
And Steppen says working class hero was made of truths that seem to hit too late. The cynicism at our back. He said out loud what we all feel, and sometimes we haven't yet found the words for. And what gets me about Lennon is this: he advocated peace. He advocated peace. He hated to see death, needless death, by bombs, shells, and bullets. And how ironic he died by the bullet, by violence.
yeah. Martin Luther King, same.
Martin Luther King the same. And Johan says Jim Morrison's dad was a naval officer
Yeah,
at the Gulf of Tonkin incident. Go away. He died the same day as his dad's ship was retired from service. I think he might be an MK Ultra victim. That's jeez. See,
I don't know, but I mean, my take on it is we're talking about Mary Shelley before, and although she grew up without a physical mother, through the efforts of her father and friends and family, obviously, her mother was made real. Her dreams, her writings, her stuff. Um, some people were lucky enough to have that. William Blake had the support of his parents, who didn't understand where he wanted to go, but their full support was with him. But in Jim Morrison's case, his father and mother were totally alien to where he wanted to go. His father wrote him a letter um, to say, I think it was during their first tour, when you get home, you need to give up this nonsense of pop music because you're no good. You'll never ever be any good. You've got no talent. That was his father writing to him. So I know what I would have felt had my mum or dad written me something like that. Crushed. But he wasn't crushed. Obviously, he went on. But he wanted to be a poet, and then it took one step further.
well,
And
that's why he has a strong mind. You know, as you mentioned, crushed.
yeah,
A weaker person, would have just walked away and said, okay, and never fulfilled what inspired him as inspiration.
yeah,
Everybody's inspired.
everyone is, and that's what makes the world beautiful. And that's what we pick up here. all the time.
And Odette says, Monsieur Frank, Monsieur Anthony, like Martin Luther King, both him and Lennon should have been Nobel laureates. Such a shame and a waste of life would have advanced
Okay.
the meaning of peace.
The beautiful words of that, and I agree. But the one thing that Frank and I have kind of hit on over weeks and months of history and literature programs is that if we talk about these beautiful people, then they're not gone. They're still with us. Their work is still with us. Whether it be John Lennon, or whether it be William Shakespeare, they're still here,
Absolutely,
still valid.
absolutely. Sorry, go on.
No, just still here, still valid.
It is still valid, isn't it? Really, when you come to think of it, it'll never. It's like I loved Tchaikovsky's 1812.
Yeah,
I loved it,
yeah,
and when I'm depressed, that's what I put on.
yeah,
I get a bit depressed and fed up, and I always put the 1812 on
yeah.
because I think it's a great piece of inspirational music for me, especially.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah,
when you get the crescendo
yeah,
and the bells and the cannons and the victory, and I think it's great. Uh, it's like it's like any music. I grew up in a household of Italian music,
yeah.
but I also had the benefits of, as I said, the Beatles, pop music.
Popular music.
Yeah, yeah. And I went to see them when I was 14 years of. Remember when I said about bunking off school, and you said, and Joanne actually, you didn't bunk off school, you bunked off
Yeah,
learning knowledge.
yeah,
And I bunked off to say, I'm being honest, I told these people, the Beatles, and we bunked off, me and my mate. He said, "Do you fancy going to see the Beatles?" I went, "The other day." And I went up with him to the Locarno,
yeah,
which is now today the Olympia, and seen them live. Couldn't hear a bloody word like what they were singing because of all the girls screaming.
yeah,
It was incredible. These
yeah,
lads on the stage.
yeah. What an
I
experience.
always remember the poster.
Yeah,
Stars of radio and television, and the Beatles. Like it wasn't straight like that. It was down the Beatles.
yeah,
And with the number one hit, "Please Please Me," and it was just incredible.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
went. I remember saying to someone, some American, I took Francine down to Beatles week, that weekend,
yeah,
and there were some Americans there chatting to them, and they said, "You must be very proud." These were Beatle fans who come over from America just to go to this
yeah,
Beatle festival, and our Francine said, "But my dad's seen them live," and they would. I said, "Oh, look," I said, "I was 14 years of age." I said, "It was many years ago." I said, and they wanted to ask me every question because I seen them live, and they were in their words. They were in awe that I actually, they met someone who's seen the Beatles live.
yeah,
It was incredible. Well, you know how these people view the Beatles. Anyway, let's go through these before we finish. And Bella says, poem about Liverpool, Anfield Rose, a hopeful cry, the live birds watch from the sky, Mersey docks where tales unfold, a city's spirit, brave and bold. Yeah, brilliant.
That's beautiful, Bella.
Brilliant.
Absolutely.
Well done, Bella. Really. And Johan, Mr. Brown, Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon by David McGowan is the book I was referencing. It also mentions how the Manson murders were a CIA op to instill hippie fever against socialism. Whoa.
Thank you, Johan. I'll have to check that out. Yeah.
And that's what did I never mentioned it, did I? There's the lovely Amby saying, yes, Johan, part of the Laurel Canyon crowd. And that's what Johan's gone on to say.
Yeah.
And as yes. And with that, Johan gives her 3 glasses of wine. It's not bad, is it?
Italian red. That's the way to go, Frank.
And as that, can I ask a question? The Nobel Awards have been overrated. But if you had a chance to determine the Literature Peace Prize winner, who would you both pick? Merci. Well, I've just got to. I know it's political, but please just let me say this. Say it in a couple of sentences. Mikado, who's just won the Nobel Peace Prize, isn't a person who deserved it. Not a person who asked Donald Trump, the POTUS, to go and bomb, pleaded with him, begged him to bomb Venezuela. And this is before she won the Peace Prize, because she wanted Maduro to get out. She wanted to become president. She's been schooled by America. And yes, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Recently, overrated recently by political influence, the Nobel Awards. If you had a chance to determine the Literature and Peace Prize winner, who would you both pick?
Not a politician. Any politician.
No. I'll tell you who I'd pick. A lady by the name of Francesca Albanese. She advocates peace constantly. Francesca Albanese. That's who I'd pick.
Yeah.
Who would you pick?
I don't know. I'd have to give it some thought, but I'm absolutely adamant that no politician is deserving of trinkets like that.
I've just seen that. Look, Johan, to a death. Francesca Albanese for peace. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, there you go.
And I just seen that there when I picked it.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. And towards that again, probably the Hind Rajab Foundation for Literature. Those crimes' names need to be logged up. All right, let's get on. But yes, totally agree, Johan, about Hind. So what do you think about tonight? I know that we went off on a tangent, which we normally do anyway, but we never really went off on a tangent, did we?
We didn't, because everything links, and that's what we order. Everything links like a jigsaw across time. It's I think what happened, William Shakespeare's time, William Blake's time, like I said, the fragility of their words
Yes,
is apparent more so now. Historically, history repeats itself, and they are opposed to oppression, which we've covered tonight, injustice, which we've covered tonight and every night. And it's that sense of rallying people for the right reasons, letting people know.
well, we always try to let people know everything, you know. It's I always remember Frank Kafka, for example,
Yeah,
and he said, "Everything you love will probably be lost." Now think about that. Everything you know, I'm sorry, everything you love will probably be lost, but in the end, love will return in another way. Think about that. You might think that love is gone, but it will return in another way. You see, I know this may sound mad, but I love love.
yeah, me too.
I love love. Well, you know me, and I get angry sometimes. This is why I'm not doing any more football podcasts. I'm not doing any more of them because I just thought this is ridiculous. Because you have people deliberately coming on and winding you up, as they say. And I hate that.
Yeah,
But I'm doing no more. I'm doing a watch along tomorrow. That's all I'm gonna ever do. And I'll be starting off at 7:15 for the pre-match, then the watch along, then a post-match, and that's it. Then. And the beautiful death. Merci. Thank you both on the chat for your honesty and lovely conversation tonight. Look forward to your next show. Well, we're doing one. When are we doing one,
we're,
Anthony?
do, we're doing a kind of similar show on Thursday, which we will be mentioning the arts of that, and certainly the beautiful Parisian um, impressionists and others. And on both sides of the pond, we'll be talking. And to me, the visual, the arts, is as important as the literature side, because it can unveil the truth of what was going on at a place and a time.
Yes. Yes. I think that's great, that, because I always remember writing down something and I just seen something there. Just bear with me on this. The lovely Ambi, Helen, Brilliant show. Thanks, Frank and Anthony. Thank you, Ambi. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
She, Ellen, Ambi there, she just sits down and looks and listens and comments.
Yeah.
Lovely lady. I've met her, Ambi. Brought me a lovely thing.
Yeah.
And I was showing her. It was just, Jason, when he was down on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
And he went, "What's that?" And he looked, and you know what? Blimey. I said, I don't know. And I said, "Do you water this? Because it's in like a tube. That and she made it. Ambi, she made it. Anyway, he said no, and he was telling me what I figured. And he said, what it is, it's self-absorbing. He said, moisture goes up and it comes back on itself. So that's there. Because I said, yeah, will I have to water this? I don't know. And he explained. Because you know that he grows everything, don't you?
Yeah.
He grows jars of jam and
Yeah, no, he's our very own David Attenborough.
everything. And he grows pumpkin pies.
I
They
know.
grow on trees. An incredible man. But that's what she brought me down, a beautiful present. And a cousin, Janet, she gave me, I showed you that, it's like a candle in a thing.
Shakespeare's clothes.
And you see Shakespeare
Yeah,
and his home. Oh,
yeah. With two beautiful gifts from beautiful people.
yes, absolutely. And I don't ask for anything. But, when something like that happens. And Johnsy never says anything. I wish you would say something to know that you're there. And he says, another wonderful evening of listening to you two wise gentlemen. A lovely treat. Thank you,
Thank you.
Johnsy. Do you like a Midsummer Night's Dream? Love looks not with eyes, but with the mind, and therefore is winged Cupid painted blind. I think it's magnifique. Yeah, I love A Midsummer Night's Dream. And Puck. And Tatiana. Yes. Oberon. Yes.
Yeah. I love the
And,
word, the quote.
oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And what it reminded me of is the sensuality of a woman is in her soul. The sensuality of the observer is in the eye. Very similar to that.
Yeah. The eyes are the window to the soul. And I think at that point, you are captured. No,
I think
not
that's
by
beautiful.
shape or size or money or whatever. The just the look.
It is, isn't it? It is the look. You look at something. I tell you what it's like. When we read, we see the picture that we're reading. It's alive.
Yeah.
You're not just reading words. You're seeing life. That's why you and I love any part of literature, but we also love poetry, and our wonderful poets.
Yeah,
Am
yeah,
I right?
absolutely right. And some of which is so heartbreakingly poignant
Oh,
when you uh, associate the work, the genius piece, with the creator and what's going on in their lives at the time.
if you too could pace behind the wagon that we flung him in and watch his white eyes writhing in his face, his hanging face, like a devil sick of sin, if you could hear at every jolt the blood come gargling from the froth corrupted lungs, my friend, you would not tell with such a zest to children ardent for some desperate glory. The old line, dulce et decorum est, pro patria mori.
Yeah,
Wilfred Owen.
absolutely. One of the most powerful poems ever.
Yep,
No glory in death.
no glory in death. And what he was inspired by, with just that alone, was the great Roman writer Ovid, Ovid. Incredible.
After maybe mention him on Thursday, Frank.
We mention everyone. We mention Johan and Odette and Ambi, Steppen, Jonty. You
I was
mention them all.
talking in particular about Wilfred, but yeah, no,
No, of course, Wilfred Owen
I
will mention.
love the bus we're on. I love us all passengers together.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah,
And Johan says, "Thank you, Frank, Mr. Brownland legends. Good luck for the girl. I'm going to kick your head in when I see you, Johan. How many times are you playing Palace this season? Apologies, Mr. Brown, about the Morrison comments.
oh no, no, no apologies ever necessary, Johan.
Not on us, not on
Frank,
here.
to the show. You are so much a loved part of this show, as as everyone is, and we truly appreciate. No apologies ever needed.
Because how many times do we keep telling them? It's their show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's your show. It's, we all help each other.
yeah,
Fantastic comments.
yeah.
Fantastic.
It's a good. We have never done it, but it's a good job we don't have a script. We say Frank will say this, Anthony might say this, Jason will do this, because we couldn't. You couldn't keep that because we're you know we go everywhere because we are delightedly inspired to go everywhere.
Absolutely. And you can tell it's no script because sometimes I come out with an expletive or two,
Well,
as you know.
yeah,
And
yeah.
Johan says, have a good night, legends.
You too, Johan.
Yeah, look at that. You love this fella as well. I don't. I just don't understand his works. But anyway, Steppen says everything you can imagine is real.
Yeah,
Pablo Picasso.
yeah, yeah.
That's
My
smashing
favorite.
that, isn't it, though? Great quote by Pablo there.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
Bella says, oh, lovely Bella. Franco and Anthony and Buonanotte. Fantastic. Oh, no. And notte fantastica. Grazie mille.
Bella, thank you for your beautiful poetry.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Owen Lee. Hiya, Owen. Great show again, gents. Thank you, Owen.
Thanks, Owen. Thanks for
Oh,
being with us.
and Ali Noose, our great friends from Romania. Two great people. Enjoy your evening.
Ali, that's wonderful. Thank you,
Isn't that beautiful?
too.
And Ali says, please, everybody, hit the like button. It helps a lot. Yes, thank you, Ali. It does help a lot. And the unfortunate thing, I'm not saying people don't press a like because they're on different things. They're on different,
Platforms.
Yeah, it goes out on YouTube. It goes out, I don't know where else it goes. It goes out on Facebook,
Yes.
as you know. So I don't know where the likes come from. And Daryl, look, see, he's been watching a match. He's been watching a match. Look, a football fan. Frankie, says Daryl. Daryl, Anthony.
Daryl, good to have you with us.
Listen to what Johan says here. If this was scripted, the whole show would be classed as a blooper by the producer. Little do they know, that's why we love it. Interaction builds the mind, whereas a speech fortifies prejudice.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Oh.
I can't see that. He's winding. See, that's what I mean. That's where I swear thing. See, look, you shouldn't say things like that. And it's not a football channel tonight. I'm doing a watch along tomorrow, but you don't watch it. And you come on afterwards. Likes promote the channel, Franco. Yes, Ollie. Thank you. So overall, what's your thing about tonight?
I love the show. I love being on it. There's a lot of comments and things from yourself and from chatters that I want to chase up. Yeah, it as ever it leaves me wanting to know more. Every single show we do, the comments and yeah, no, I thought everyone is comfortable enough now in their own voice to offer a comment, wonderful comments and contributions, poetry.
Can I finish with a quote on it? Can I? It's a great quote, and it's by George Bernard Shaw.
Yeah.
And I think it sums up everything. Common sense is not a gift; it's a punishment to deal with. Everyone doesn't have it. Sums everything up, doesn't it?
It does.
Common sense.
Prove today, yeah.
It's not a gift because he's more or less saying because everyone doesn't have it. It's a punishment. If you've got common sense, remember Mark Twain when he said, they will drag you down.
Yeah, never argue with an idiot. Yeah.
and beat you over the head with their experience.
Yeah.
So you can see how these people looked at other people. And I see it. I do, Anthony. I see it every day. Albeit I'm stuck in the bloody house, I see it. And Johan says to Daryl, no trolling on the chat. That's why he's sending messages from Facebook. See? And Johan, true, similar to what you say, I wish I haven't seen the things I've seen.
Yeah.
That's a cracker.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the case. You can never unsee or unhear.
Exactly. And yeah. And on Thursday, I think our show will be great.
Yeah.
It'll be great. I can feel it
I, I,
because we'll be bringing in everything.
I have a little request based on we were talking and not planned again. We're not planned, but we're talking about the Victoriana and the darkness of a lot of poetry and literature. Um, and there's a wonderful hairs on the back of your neck poem that you read, which is Robert Browning,
Oh,
My Last Duchess.
oh,
I wonder if you can slot that in
tonight or
on
on
Thursday.
Thursday. When? Tonight.
Thursday?
Thursday, definitely. Thursday, definitely. Because it's one of those that when it's explained, and that's why I love Browning.
Yeah.
That's why I love Blake, because the hairs stand up on you. Keats.
Yeah.
John Keats.
Yeah.
Oh, to have two luxuries on my walks.
Wow.
This is in a letter he wrote to his girlfriend
Yeah.
as he was dying.
Yeah.
And he was in Rome. She was in London.
Yeah.
Oh, to have two luxuries on my walks. Your beauty at the hour of my death. Oh, to have them both.
Yeah.
You know, her beauty and his death.
Yeah.
They're the two things he wants.
You with me as
Oh,
I'm sorry, she didn't get that letter till about a month after he passed.
oh no.
Um,
I know.
well, we'll have to do that Thursday too, because there's a wonderful, the good friend that travelled with him to Italy. I would like to mention him and his work artistically. He was a painter, and then we have as Odette and as we talked about the power of the word and the power of the image working together.
Yes. And, you know, you look at the image of Blake when he
Yeah.
says, you know, about a little chimney sweeper
Yeah.
having to work in the snow, in the freezing cold.
Yeah.
A little black thing among the snow crying, weep, weeping notes of woe. Where are your father and mother say? They have gone up to the church to pray. Think about it. They're in a warm, bloody church. They've sent a little child, a little black thing among the snow, crying, weep, weeping notes of woe, because he can't pronounce the S's. So he says weep, but it doubles down as and crying in notes of woe.
Powerful.
It is powerful, and these are the words that have to be said. These are the words that you've got to absorb
Absolutely.
and regurgitate
Yeah.
to make it understandable.
Yeah. True. I mean, the absolute true to life poignancy of his passing blows me away all the time. Uh, but also, obviously, I love the poem he did, The Poison Tree.
Oh, yeah. Do you know what? I haven't got it. I haven't got the bloody poison tree.
I'll find it and WhatsApp it through. Shall I WhatsApp it or put it up in yours and Jason and I's history chat thing?
Yeah, yeah. I'll find, yeah, just in case I don't, I will get hold of you to say I've got it or I haven't. Put it up. Is that okay with you?
That's great, Frank.
And the lovely Odette says again, I find this very relevant today, in today's world. Hopefully you touch on Wilde. I love Wilde. In more details on what we will. To live is the rarest thing in the world. Most people exist.
Yours exist.
That
Yeah.
is all.
Yeah.
That is all. And they do. And they do just exist.
Yeah.
It's like what he said about, if someone can't think for himself, he can't think at all. I love Wilde, love him. And one of my favourite quotes, and it's up from him, and it's all about greed when you really look at it. When he said, I can resist anything except temptation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Stepan says, good night, both and all. Thanks for allowing us to end the day on a high and an inspiring note.
That's lovely. Thank you, Stefan, from both of us. Thank you.
And Bella says, of Anthony's brush and Franco's through words, a quiet creative life was conferred. Franco would speak of the dock's grey old stone, where tales of the sea were eternally sown. Anthony watched the light. We've got poets. We've got philosophers.
That is us. That's the basis of our long standing friendship.
And she finishes off the poem by saying, Anthony watched the light fall on his friend. That's a cracking little poem.
Yeah.
Got everyone.
Yeah.
And Owen says, I'd like to thank you, gents, and the chat for broadening my horizons of literature. I've learned more here in the last few months than at any point in school.
Owen, I am exactly the same. And it's such an inspiring thing for me as a painter to go off.
What a compliment.
Yeah, beautiful. And I totally agree with him. That's what I say. You're scattered in seeds.
And the lovely Odette says, good night and take care. Look forward to Thursday. Bonsoir.
Merci.
Merci beaucoup. Adet. And Ladovi Ambi. Good night, everyone. Good night, Ambi. Thank you for being with us, sweetheart. Thank you, Ellen. And Johan. Brilliant, Bella. We might have compile and publish your words for the ballads of the chat.
Yes. Yeah.
Fancy putting in what the chat have been saying
Yeah.
and coming out with quotes and poems.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. It needs its own website, the Frank Carlyle Show, and that's the way we'll do it. I wouldn't trust Facebook to handle it.
That lovely. Johan Tabella. Cheers, legend. It was truly wonderful. A little poem.
Yeah, the poem was.
She's just writing that out. She's just writing it.
Yeah.
As we're speaking.
Yeah.
And
Creating.
Stephen says, Owen Lee, school is not for opened learning, but to train us to repeat without thinking of it. Remember, they hate you if you're clever and despise the fool.
John Lennon. As soon as you're born, they make you feel small, giving you no time instead of it all.
And that's Lennon.
That's Lennon, which is quite on par with William Blake, really.
Of course.
A modern version of that.
And Stephen's so true, says Owen Lee. And on that wonderful note, on that wonderful people, thank you so much for joining Anthony and myself.
Yeah.
Because,
You will.
To keep us company. Thanks for Jason for, putting the thing up and setting it over. Because we know that Jason is a very busy person. And I just have to thank my wonderful friend Anthony, the Mr. Artist himself. And who should we thank most, Anthony?
Well, we've got in terms of keeping our show on the road, we've got to thank Mr. Andy Gamble and Gap Painting Services, who sponsor every single Frank Carlyle podcast. And of course, Jason, who works tirelessly behind the scenes to make us look like Hollywood legends. But even though he's failed miserably with that, our biggest thank you is to the beautiful chat, our beautiful chat family, who send us off in directions without a map and without a compass.
And if there'd be no chat, there'd be no
show.
Exactly.
No show.
Exactly. And for all you wonderful football fans, I'll be doing a watch along tomorrow from 7:15 onwards. And Thursday night I'm looking forward to, because I'll have you all back, I know that. Thank you so much, people. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you later. Thank you all. Good night. God bless.
Good night. And to our lovely Italian lady, buonanotte, cara mia. Ci vediamo domani. A domani.